For our first project today, I picked up 8 of these wooden slats from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to group them into sets of 4, creating 2 separate sections to work with. And I'm using one of these jumbo craft sticks that you can get at Walmart to help even them out. I want to make sure that I get them as even as possible. Dollar Tree doesn't cut their wood. They just, nothing's even. Okay, so just use whatever you have to make sure they're nice and straight. Then I'm going to mark each side of my craft stick. Use my cute little saw here I got on Amazon. This thing is a total game changer. Holly at Hot Humble Pie has been using one of these for so long, and each video that she uses it, she just brags about how amazing it is. So finally broke down and treated myself, and I'm so glad I did because this is a total game changer and I had so much fun using it. And I'm looking around my craft room looking for more projects I can do just to use it. And so the first one that I cut, I just used that as a guide to cut 3 more. I'll be sure to link this little saw in the description box so you can check it out for yourself. And now that I have all 4 pieces cut, I'm going in with my Titebond Quick and Thick along with a little hot glue for that instant hold. I'm placing the first one about an inch from the bottom and attaching that right into place. Then I'm going to repeat that same step on the second section, gluing the bottom piece on there as well. Sorry. And once those are secured, I'm going to repeat the same step across the top of each section. And in the end, these are going to resemble little doors. Now I'm going to flip these over and do the same thing on what will be the front side of our doors. To paint my doors, I'm using this mixture of black paint and water. I like to pull it out anytime I want to add little black specks and add that, primitive character to a piece. Then I mixed in some antique wax along with some white chalk paint, which gave me this really deep gray. I think that adds to that nice weathered look that I was going for. And once that was blended really well, I brushed it right onto my doors and then wiped some of it back with a baby wipe. I really want that wood grain to still show through, so 1 coat is all I needed for this. I'm also going to make sure to paint the back as well. Now that everything is nice and dry, I'm taking the color Plaster by Waverly. I'm going to offload my brush really well first, then lightly dry brush this, making sure I go in the same direction as the wood grain. I don't want to do too much though, just enough to highlight the texture. And once that dries, I'm going to come back in with my finger sander and give it a good sanding. For our next step, I'm using my Regal Flourishes mold by Redesign with Prima. I've already dusted my mold and now I'm working in some Daz air dry clay to create a partial casting. And I'll be making a total of 4 of these pieces and they're going to act like hinges for our doors. And to attach them, I'm using my Titebond Quick and Thick. Then I'm taking these upholstery nails and pressing them right down into the clay. After that, I'll gently tap them with my hammer. I don't want them sunk too deeply, but just enough so it looks like they're what's holding everything securely into place. And since these are going to resemble French doors in a sense, I'm placing the hinges opposite of one another so they look natural when the doors are viewed together. Of course, you don't need molds from Redesign or IOD. This just happens to be what I already had on hand. I do have some other molds from Amazon, but they weren't quite deep enough for this project, so I couldn't get like a nice crisp detail that I was hoping for. The design came out a little more distorted than I wanted, but the good thing is I didn't have to purchase anything new for this project. These were already in my stash, so that doesn't count towards the budget, at least in my opinion. I've had these knobs in my stash for years. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you how many, but it's been a really long time. I'm going to give them a light sanding, and I love that they already have a screw running through the center because it just makes attaching them to just about anything so easy. Once I got them all sanded down nicely, I knew these would be perfect for the front of my doors. But before adding these, I remembered I had these old door plates that I salvaged years ago. I think I picked them up for $1 a piece, or maybe the two of them for $1. It was dirt cheap and they were pretty rough. And at first, I was gonna use them as is. Then I stopped and thought, wait a minute, door handles are probably one of the dirtiest things when it comes to harboring germs. So I gave them a good cleaning, and wow, the difference was huge. They were honestly pretty gross, and I probably should have worn gloves for that one, but I didn't. Once they were nice and clean, I found these little screws that fit perfectly, and that's what I'm going to use to attach them to my doors. My screws weren't quite long enough to go all the way through the wood, so I reached for my heavy body gel from Pentart. I'm telling you, if you need to glue something down and know for a fact that it's not going to go anywhere, this stuff does the trick. The only thing to keep in mind is when it dries, it has a glossy finish, but for this project, that didn't matter at all. So I applied some all along the plate, like where the knob is going to go, and then around the knob itself. The screw caught a little bit, but like I said, not quite enough. With that heavy body gel added in, now those pieces are going to stay put. And when I sanded down my knob, I thought I might paint it or maybe decoupage something onto it, but I changed my mind. You'll see that in a second here. But now I'm going in with Paint Couture's. I believe it's a luxe metallic, or maybe it's a heavy metallic, and I'm brushing that right over my hinges. One thing I absolutely love about these metallics is all it needs is one coat and it gives beautiful coverage. Now back to the heavy body gel real quick. You can use it over decoupage, especially over canvas. It gives everything that rich, authentically painted look, almost like an actual oil painting. If you watched my rabbit video, then you already know how amazing that effect can be. I'll try to link that video down below if you'd like to check it out. That piece came out absolutely gorgeous. Now back to the knobs. I mentioned earlier that I changed my mind. I pulled out my Victoriana mold and I'm going to cast this beautiful design instead. And I already have my mold dusted, so I'm pressing my clay right down into it. For this piece, I'm using less clay because I don't want to fill the mold completely. That way the casting will wrap around the knob nicely instead of being too bulky. I'm going to tuck it underneath, making sure the fit is going to be nice and snug. Then I'm going to lift it for a second just to add some Titebond Quick and Thick to the knob itself. After that, I'll wrap the casting right around it and shape it right into place. And I'm going to make two of these. My local Dollar Tree doesn't carry transfers, so for this project, I used some transfers I had picked up from Temu. I had gotten a huge pack for like $3.95 a couple of years ago, which I think was a great deal. Honestly, if you do the math, they may have even come out less expensive than other budget options. And so once I got those applied, I used my scalpel to carefully separate the transfer right along those plank seams. I think that gave it a more natural look. Then screwing in the last two screws at the bottom of my knobs. While my clay is still wet, I'm going to go over it with Fusion's mineral paint in the color Casement. I love that this has both a primer and a sealer built in, so it's going to seal in that clay nicely. While that dries, I'm sealing all my doors with Paint Couture's Extreme Garden Satin. This is going to protect my paint and my transfers while adding a nice subtle sheen, not too much. Then I'll go over my knobs with Black Pearl Luxe Metallic, and I'm going to wipe some of that back using a baby wipe, and that's going to settle into all the low points. And then I'm going to take my bronze metallic paint by Paint Couture and brushing that over my hinges. And then I'm going to bring that bronze onto my knobs as well. And to finish everything off with a bit of gold rub and buff, and I'm going to gently brush that across the surface of the hinges and the knobs so those raised details really stand out. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to hang these up for the final photos. I'm waiting for the backings to come in the mail, but I think these came out super cute. I was able to put this project together for about $10. Let me know what you think. All right, this video is part of an open playlist called Budget to Beautiful, hosted by myself and my friend Jette from Craft Along with Jay. We created this series to share budget-friendly ideas using Dollar Tree items, thrifted pieces, affordable materials, and items from our stash. It's all about creating beautiful decor without spending a lot. Yetta was happy to join me in this, and we'll be hosting Budget to Beautiful together each month. We'd love for you to join us, so if you'd like to be part of next month's playlist, just reach out to either one of us on Instagram. And as always, let us know in the comments if you're enjoying these DIYs and would like to see more. I'm using 7 of these wooden planks from the Dollar Tree and 2 paint stir sticks. I'm going to line them up and use some hot glue and some Titebond Quick and Thick and glue my paint stir sticks to each side. And this is going to be the back. I did remove the tags. Gave it a good sanding. I found this template on Pinterest, printed it out, and I'm placing it onto this thick piece of styrofoam that came inside of a package. The thickness is actually perfect for what I need, and I'm going to take a pencil and a marker to trace it out, and the pencil helps leave an impression where the handle will be so I can cut that out. I know exactly where to cut it. Now I'm going to cut it out using this really cool Fiskars knife set. I'll be sure to link that down below so you can check it out. But once I got it all cut out, I'm going to take my finger sander and sand up all along the sides. I honestly didn't even realize that you could sand styrofoam, but it did a great job smoothing everything out. I'm gonna start by painting this the color pewter. It's a metallic paint by Deco Art, and it's metallic as you can see, and I'm gonna give it one full coat. Then I'm gonna go over it with the color Mineral, which is a chalk paint by Waverly, and lightly stipple that over the top to create a galvanized metal look. And then this rust, it's called Rust Paste. It's by Prima Marketing, and I'm going to add that around the spout and just in areas where natural aging and rust would usually appear. Now, I've got to apologize, guys. I thought my camera was on and it clearly wasn't. But what you missed was that I stained the entire piece with watered down burnt umber, then wiped back the excess, let it dry. Once it was dry, I glued down the words Garden Co. and added these corner pieces from my stash to help frame everything in. And then I glued my watering can down at an angle and added lots of florals coming out of the can and spilling out of the spout. I added these little ladybugs. I think I got these on Amazon. Maybe it was Temu. And yeah, it was Temu, and glued 3 of those down. And these transfers I got on Temu, these are the worst things ever. They're not even transfers, they're stickers. I don't even need to use my transfer stick. All I had to do was peel back the plastic, and there it is. They're shiny. They're just awful. I don't recommend. And then I went over around the edges using some Tim Holtz Distress ink. And off camera, I did go over my corner pieces. But that's it for this one. This is super inexpensive. I think it cost maybe $12 or so to make. But what do you think of this one? I think it came out super cute, and I can't wait to hang this one up. For our last project, I found this tray at the Dollar Tree, and these are actually new to my store, although I've seen a lot of people DIYing them. And so I painted the inside using the color Snowdrop by Fusion. It has both a primer and a sealer. All I needed was just one coat, and I didn't bother painting the outside since I'll be framing that in here in just a moment. Then I went in with those horrible stickers once again. Oh gosh, guys, these things have been lifting on my projects, and it has been so frustrating. But you know what? I just, I can't go back, right? So I'm just never going to use them again. I pieced them together to create an image I wanted and then adhered them into place. I totally spaced it and forgot that they don't need to be rubbed on. You just have to peel the backing and they're down. That's all there is to it. You'll see here in just a second that I didn't need to do that with the others. I'm planning on having a giveaway at some point, and I'll probably include these in it. Just because they're not my favorite doesn't mean someone else won't love them. A lot of people enjoy crafting and may not always be able to pick up extras like this, and they'd probably be over the moon to have them. Not that I'm trying to pass off my junk to anyone, but you know how it goes. One person's junk is another person's treasure, right? And these are really pretty. I mean, I do really like them. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought them. It's just they're not working for me. That's all. I had one that broke here, and I did my best to kind of piece it together. They're thick. These transfers are thick. They're not like regular rub-on transfers. And then after that, I took the color Layered Chocolate. This is by DIY, and went around the edges, being careful not to get any on my beads. And then I went over those transfers with liquid patina to seal them in and hopefully help dull them down a little bit. And I also added this patina from Pentart for a little bit of distressing. I hadn't used this before. This stuff is so strong, guys. I had to look up what the label means, and it's flammable, it's an irritant, it's a serious health hazard, and also really bad for the environment. So I just thought I'd share this with you. I wouldn't recommend buying it, and if anyone knows of a safe way for me to dispose this, please let me know. This is how this project came out. I think it's really cute. And I just want to say thank you for being here for our first Budget to Beautiful DIYs. Let me know what you think of this. Be sure to hit that like button if you liked it, hype me up if you loved it, and subscribe. I would love to have you here. Be sure to turn on those notifications if you don't want to miss another video from me. Thank you for spending time with me today. Until the next one, bye.